going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Alanta. So here, what I love to do is naturalize money talk and discuss everything in between. So today we have a very special guest, Mr. Higgins Succes. So we're just going to jump right into it because I feel in my spirit this is going to be a great interview. I'm so excited for this. So Mr. Higgins Succes, just a short bio of him. He's a proud graduate of the University of Florida with a bachelor's degree in sports management and a master's degree. While in undergrad, he decided to become a walk-on linebacker for the Florida Gators football team under Coach Urban Meyer, then later with Coach Chap. In 2016, he sat down and took the NFLPA Agent Certification and became a certified contract advisor. Just two years later, he had his first client drafted in the third round of 2018 NFL Draft. Since then, he has several players signed under draft free agents deals and co-rep a client that has played in back-to-back Super Bowls. Now, as being an NFL agent, Mr. Higgins Succes is also a 6-year middle school math teacher. He enjoys having an impact on the youth and spent his entire teaching career giving back to the Glaze community. That gave him so much joy as a young boy coming from Haiti. He also enjoys coaching the youth in everything from middle school to boys baseball. And he's also as the new head basketball coach of Pahokee High School in Palm Beach County. Mr. Higgins Succes, thank you so much for being here with me today. You are very busy, which I know, very busy person. So I just want to give a small background. So me and Succes went to, was it middle school or high school? We went to high school together.
Right, we went to high school.
Right.
Yeah, I know you since middle school, though.
You knew me since middle school, right? Your brother is in my class, and you were the class underneath us, right?
Correct.
Right. So I just since knowing both of you guys, I'm like Succes. I was always calling your brother name all the time, Succes. I just love that last name. It's not a common Haitian last name, right?
Right. No, it's not as common. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not as common, and it's spelled it's missing additional S. It's Succes. So yeah, I'm always calling you Succes. With that last name, when you came here from Haiti, was it something that you feel as though like it was like destined to kind of like optimize your opportunities here once you came to the US? Because with that last name, it's like you have to drive in that last name.
Right. Well, I mean, when I first got here, obviously coming from Haiti, I didn't know what the word success meant.
Gotcha.
Right. So when I get here, and everyone knows my name, and when I give my name, it's like success. And like, oh, that means being successful or having accomplished something. So from that point, right. So it's like everywhere you go, teachers from third grade until college, even if you meet someone at the local DMV or something, the moment I give them my last name, it's like, oh, I love your last name, you must be successful. So it's definitely a lot of pressure growing up with that last name, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it was something that when I knew you and your brother last name, like it just dawned to me when we were reintroduced, like 5-10 years later, like recently, because we were both on a panel to speak to some of the youth members of a church, and we were just reintroduced, like what's going on. Then I found out you not only a math teacher, but you are an NFL agent. I'm just like, huh? What? And when you think about it, those two go in hand because you're negotiating, people person. You have to know the numbers and what makes sense, right? And the trends and everything that's going on. Now let's take a step back, right? Because once you left, you graduated from high school. We both graduated from the same high school. So you left and you went to University of Florida, which is in Gainesville, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Right. I always get those places mixed up with Jacksonville or something.
Nah, no, don't do it. We're in Gainesville.
Okay. All right. Okay, calm down. I know you guys are like huge, you ride for your school.
Definitely.
I totally get it. I ride for my FAMU as well. So when you went to school, what kind of, because I know you went on a scholarship as well. You were a student athlete, and so you was a linebacker for Florida Gators team. Now, I do understand some people are really interested in sports management, but not only did you get your bachelor degree in sports management, but you also got your master degree in sports management as well. So what was that thought process for you in regards to getting your degree?
Well, like you said, for me, I attended UF on an academic scholarship. So I didn't get an athletic scholarship. I wasn't going there initially.
Let's just say that's impressive. Okay, let's just say that. It wasn't, let's rewind that for a minute. It wasn't an athletic scholarship. It was an academic scholarship. Okay,
so initial plans were never to, wear that orange and blue football uniform or anything like that. So I knew going in, I'm going here to get my degree, and I'm going here to be here for 4 years. At the time when I first started undergrad, getting a master's wasn't part of the plan, right? It was just basically, let's get this 4 years done, and let's see where we go from there. And the reason I decided to go with sports management, obviously my background in sports, like you said, growing up in Belgrade, always playing sports from the time I came over from Haiti. And I've been involved in youth sports, football, track, baseball, just name it. And also, I had a love for business and numbers. I think that's something that came from my mother. From a very young age, she would basically always she's doing some type of business. She'd go to a yard sale here, send some stuff over to Haiti, and she has to go sell it, or if it's building a home in Haiti and leasing it out, whatever it may be. So I was trying to find the degree, or find the program where I can combine sports with business. And when I started doing research on sports management, just Googling and talking to my advisors at UF, they basically told me about sports management, and I looked over the course load that I would be having to take over the next 4 years, and everything lined up. It was marketing, it was entrepreneurship, it was finance, it was accounting. So all of these different classes that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. There's no class here that's going to be wasting time or just wasting my money. Everything basically is going to be helpful. So that's why I decided to do sports management in undergrad.
Did you know coming out of your master's program that you're just gonna hit the ground running? Because I do know that you are a 6th grade middle school math teacher. So were you in line to say that, okay, I'm going to put this on pause, or I'm just going to be a just a strictly a math teacher? So what kind of just place you into that route of being a teacher as well?
Right. Well, it's actually funny because I always wanted to teach. I just didn't figure I would start teaching as soon as I did. Right. So I figured my plan was, okay, I'm going to get my master's, get certified as an agent, maybe work in the agent industry about 10 years or so. And then when I'm like 35-ish, I'll start teaching, right? So that was like my thing, because I wanted to teach, but only for like a 5-year period. I never really had a dream of being a 20-year classroom teacher, so I'm not going to sit here and say that. So when I graduated with my master's, at the time I said, okay, well, now that I have my master's and I'm studying for my Asian exam, which is going to be the following summer, what can I do, for an entire year? Obviously, you have bills and things like that.
So I was like, between time.
Right. So I had to basically, have a conversation with myself, and say, well, you want to teach, and maybe right now is the time. Like, let's not put it off. Let's not wait any longer. So, and I went back home and I looked up some jobs in the area and looked up some jobs over in West Palm, and I saw that Lakeshore Middle School had a math opening. and obviously that's the school we went to.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like my old middle school, I'm able to go back and become a teacher and teach some of the kids from my area. That's awesome. So that's what I did. I applied to Lakeshore. I interviewed and spent my first 3 years teaching there, seventh grade and eighth grade.
That's cool. That's cool because I always do like when students are able to go back and teach at the schools or just do something productive at the town or wherever they grew up in. I thought that's super cool because a friend of mine, Lawrence, who I had on my YouTube channel before, he mentions that most times when it comes to young Black students, and we know they unfortunately get lost in the system, we don't see that in between part, right? We growing up, we see a lot of older Black males or much older or younger our age or maybe adolescents, if that, right? Or high school, whatever. But we don't see that middle adolescence or get into the adulthood of who they are at like post-college, postgraduate, or they've been in the world seasoned, if you will. They've been in the world a little bit longer. So it's really cool for them, the students of Lakeshore Middle School in Belle Glade, are able to see you after the fact that you have kind of crossed those paths and those steps, and they're seeing you in the pursuit of everything else that you're doing. So it's really, you line well from what my friend has said, is the in-between, right? It's not like, you're 40, you're 50, you're 60, like you've been so far into the world and now you're coming back.
Now you're coming back.
Yeah, now that you're coming back. So that's so cool. And I'm pretty sure, I know it's difficult sometimes teaching in the classroom, but I really think that will take a lot from solely on your presence of being there, because it's kind of weird. You're much older than them, but not so much. In terms of like the exposure and the experience, right?
Right.
So you can still relate to them, and that's super cool. So you did mention that in between time you were studying for the NFLPA Agent Certification, so you decided to just pursue teaching, and that serves you well because now you're still teaching. Now, when you were studying for the NFL, does it really take that long for the certificate?
No, it doesn't. So basically, with the NFLPA, if you aspire to be an NFL certified agent, the way the process goes, first requirement, you have to have something, an upper degree, so something beyond the just natural 4-year degree. So a lot of agents do the master's, but you do have probably, I would say, about 40 to 50% of agents that actually have law degrees. So they went the law school route. And then the third option would be to have what they consider as 7 years of negotiating experience, which is probably the least traveled route amongst agents, because at that point, who knows what they may consider as experience versus non-experience. And I decided to do the master's route. Again, it was a shorter time period for me. It was cheaper versus going to law school. And I had no dreams of being a lawyer. I had no aspirations of using a law degree. So for me, it was okay, let's meet requirement 1. Let's do a 2-year master's program. That's fine. And then, so once you meet that first requirement, you have to, register for the test. The test is normally in July of each summer, but you have to register in January because they have to do their background check, make sure everything turns out fine.
The requirements before.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You do that time period too. If you don't, you can meet it. Okay.
Right. So if let's say sometime around March, you normally hear back like, hey, okay, you've been approved to take the test this summer. So once they approve you, they send you the collective bargaining agreement, which is a CBA between the players union and the NFL. They also send you another document called a sources document. So you basically have these 2 documents to study as your study guide review. The test is open book, open notes. You can use the internet if you'd like. Because it's not much out there as far as from the PA. So, it's not like you can Google the answers or Google the question.
Right.
I think it's like a 3 hour test. You have 70 questions, lots of math, lots of numbers, definitely. And yeah, you have to travel up to Washington D.C. It's a 2 day thing. The first day is just a seminar all day from like 8 to 4 p.m. And then the second day, it's like a quick meeting, lunch, and then when you come back after lunch, it's 3 hour test. So that's pretty much the process. And so you do that in July, and then normally around the first week of September is when they let the results out, whether or not you pass.
Wow, that's more rigorous than I thought.
Right, it's definitely a rigorous and nerve-wracking because it's like an 8-month process from the time you register in January to the time you actually hear whether or not you pass. There's like a 9 months in between. So it's definitely, it's challenging.
Yeah, it sounds challenging. I'm learning something new. I'm like, okay, you just take the test. It's open book. Do what you need to do. But you're saying that down period as well. They're thoroughly investigating your background to see if you're approved to even sit for the test, right? So in the requirements that you were saying, either have a law degree or negotiating experience, extensive experience, or you could take the master program, graduate school route. So you decided to take that route, and that's that's something new that I didn't even know, because I'm just thinking you sign up, you register, you take it, whatever.
Nah, it's a little more than that,
right? And it seems so it's a huge investment too, not only to register for the test, but being prepared for the test as well. Traveling for the test is 2 days, like you mentioned, for the seminars and everything they have set up. Now, we do know you were able to get your certification and became a certified NFL agent. Now, how did you feel? Because you were a teacher in between and you were registering for the test. You were able to successfully pass the test and sit and pass it, whatnot. How did you feel after all this time? Some time has passed after you got your graduate degree, your teaching. So how did you feel once you learned that you are now a certified NFL agent?
Nah, it was definitely one of the best days of my life. I think I
did
cried.
You go Disney World? No.
I think I cried like 3 times.
You cried?
Yeah, I did.
You cried?
I did. Like you said, there's a lot of time invested, a lot of resources. I mean, the test, you have to pay $2,500 just to even take the test.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah, it's not free.
Let's rewind that.
Yeah.
How much you have to pay?
It's $2,500. When you send in your application in January, you have to send $2,500 as well. And you don't get that back if they say no, because you have to get approved, right? So if you don't get the approval, it's non-refundable on that $2,500. Right, so even before becoming an agent, you already typically spend about $5,000, because that's $2,500 there. And then you have to fly to DC, flight, transportation. You get there if you're renting a car, whatever, hotel for 2 days,
right?
And once you pass your test, before you can officially recruit, you have to pay your league fee, which is $1,500, and you have to pay.
Hold up. Let's slow it down right quick. So, the registration fee to
that's just to sit for the test.
It's $2,500 to sit, and for them to do their thorough background to see if you're qualified and required to sit for the test.
Correct.
$2,500. Now you mentioned $1,500. What's the lien?
So that $1,500. So let's say you pass the test, right? You get your results back in September 1st. Or whatever, first week of September. So by October 1st, which is when the new league year starts, so their year doesn't start in January, so it starts October 1st.
Right.
So by October 1st, in order to carry your license as you're active as an active agent, you have to pay a league fee to the union as well as carry an insurance policy.
A league fee.
League, like a league, LEAGUE, league.
Oh, a league, gotcha.
Right, like a fee. So you pay your fee, like a union fee almost, but to the union, to the NFL.
So you're part. So once you pass and you're certified, this league fee is to say that you are under this association.
Right, correct.
Of NFL
the NFLPA,
certified agents.
Correct. So you have to
Gotcha.
pay that, and that's yearly. So that's every year. Yeah, every year, and you also have to carry your insurance every year, which is 1,500 also. All right.
What's the point of the insurance? Correct me if I'm
Um,
wrong.
so basically, the insurance is it's $1 million policy that all agents have to carry just in case you and a client get into something where you've been sued by a client or something
Ah, okay.
happens. Maybe something happened during an event that you're putting together or whatever it may
Mm.
be.
So
Uh,
liabilities.
like liability, correct?
Gotcha.
It's $1 million. It's
Thinking
funny
you
because
worth $1 million? We
I'm
gotta
worth
talk.
$1. No, man. So I've been paying it for 5 years now too. So
Wow.
and it's one of those things a lot of us agents joke about because I can't name one agent that have had to use this insurance. So for
Mm.
me, this is 5 years now that I've been paying 1,500 for it each year.
A
But
million
there's
dollar
agents that's
policy.
20 years, 30 years in the game, and that's a lot of money over
Yeah,
20
it is. I mean, you're a math teacher. You can do the math for me.
right. So
Definitely. That's whew. You broke down some things because I didn't know the requirements, the
right,
investments, not
right.
only the time but financial
Yeah.
investments
So that's why
that you have to
so
do.
that's why I cried when I got mine. So that's why I cried when I found out I passed. It's like
Right.
it had a lot of
Right. I would have cried too. That's why I'm like, Higgins, you cried? I
yeah.
would have cried too. So that's amazing. Your entire journey becoming an NFL agent, as you know, as well as being a math teacher, and that's incredible. Now, in your bio, you do mention about slightly from 2 years later of becoming an NFL agent. You got your first drafted client. So let's be clear: is that you could get a client, but if they're not drafted, there's no money,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Uh,
take me slightly through that process. Because was it difficult? Because it took you 2 years to get a client. Was that difficult because you were a new agent? Technically, you're a free agent, right? If I'm not
well,
mistaken.
just an agent, right?
Okay,
Independent.
just an agent. Okay, I
Independent.
don't know the terminology. You got to
Right.
put
No,
me
you're
on. Put
good.
me on.
So just being an independent agent, right? Obviously, you have different sports agencies out there, big agencies that have been around for years. So you're all competing for these athletes. I mean, each year in the NFL, you're gonna have about 1,600 players active
Right.
in the NFL. There's 800 agents right now. So basically, you're competing for 1,600 guys, and
For so for the entire league, there are
right,
800.
the entire NFL league, there's about 1,600 players,
Gotcha.
right? But there's over 800 registered sports agents under
Gotcha.
the NFLPA, so it's
Hmm.
very competitive, right? So you're competing against agents that have been around for 10 years, 20 years.
Right.
You're also competing against agencies, entire agencies that have millions of dollars at their disposal as far
Right.
as resources are concerned. And so with me being an independent agent, again, it's my money. I don't have someone giving me cash or someone sponsoring me or whatnot.
Hmm.
I have to be very strategic on the players that I target. I have to be very strategic on the players that I recruit because all my expenses are coming out of my pocket, right?
Mm.
So if I decide to go watch a kid play at a different state, right, I have to pay for my flight, I have to pay for my hotel, I have to pay for my meal,
Right.
right? If I have to go to a meeting with parents, again, I have to pay for my transportation there, and sometimes you're probably gonna meet at a nice restaurant with the parents, and so you're courting everyone,
Right.
so it can be very expensive. So the first year or two is definitely very challenging. You're realizing that it's a lot more to it than just to say, well, I'm a former college football player. That doesn't even get you in the door. That's
Right.
not gonna get you a meeting,
Hmm.
right? So you have to bring something extra, but at that time, you don't know what that extra may be, right? So
Right.
you still finding yourself as an agent. You still learning how to sit in a room with parents, and convince them that you're the right person for the job or you're the right person to look after their son. when you're only 25, 26 years old. You know what I
Right.
mean? So at the time, I'm 26, I think, my first year, and I'm recruiting a kid that's 22 or that's 21. So we're very close in age, and the parents not gonna automatically give benefit of the doubt to you, right?
Right.
So that's a battle itself. So you have to prove all of them wrong, and you have to set yourself apart
Mm-hmm.
in everything that you do. Like, you have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's as a young agent. And then again, you look at being a young black agent, right? Because although the NFL is probably about 75% black as far as players, when you look at the list of the 800 agents, we're not the majority, right? So, it's definitely, you're still part of the minority when you talk about a young black agent, right?
Right.
So,
So it seems as though there's so many things aside from investing, your time and the money into becoming an agent, but the process doesn't stop. Right.
no.
So being independent, for some reason I thought it was free agent, but I guess I'm wrong. I
Well,
think that's
free
for the
free agent
athletes.
is for the players, right?
Okay, for the
So
players.
you're
Okay,
in the
I know
same
something.
ballpark,
Right,
right?
I know a
You
little
in the
something.
ball,
It just doesn't match up. It doesn't line up.
right? You're still in the stand somewhere. You're just on the
Right,
wrong
I have an
side.
understanding. I have an understanding. So, as an
Gotcha.
independent agent, the grind does not stop because you're continuously investing, recruiting, looking for players. So,
Right.
I do know a lot of we talk a lot. So your schedule is like this. So right now you're not in Florida. You're
Right.
in a different state, doing your NFL and other opportunities. So you're constantly have to travel and look for different ones. Being, agent, you have to talk and communicate. So, what do you think your skills as a teacher? Because first you was a teacher before you were an NFL agent. What do you think
Yeah.
some of those skills kind of help you become, better at becoming an agent? Because as you mentioned, you have a lot of disadvantages because
Right.
you're young, and you are a college a prior college athlete, so you can kind of be more relatable to them. But there's a disadvantage. People don't understand a disadvantage of being young in
Oh
such
yeah.
a high incline industry as an NFL agent, because once you're older, people kind of look more respectable because you have this experience
Most
of it.
definitely.
So yeah, so there was a lot of disadvantage in that. So how do you think that some of your skills as being a teacher, you're graduate and a becoming an agent kind of help you with getting some of those contracts, or at least getting a meeting with
Right.
some of the potential clients.
Right. I think one of the biggest things, because as a teacher, it's about communication. Like,
Communicating.
I mean, yes, we're teachers, but we're constantly communicating. We're communicating with our subject principal or subject assistant principal. We're communicating with, if I'm in the math department, I'm communicating with my math department leader at the time or whatever. For me, the last couple of years, I've been communicating with my math teachers because I've been the department chair at my current school. So and then you bring the communication to the students, right? So now you're communicating with over 100 students each day. And then that communication has to extend outside of school to the parents or the guardians.
Right.
So we're constantly communicating. Either we're communicating with the upper ups, during our meetings, saying, hey, this is what happened, here's what's going on, here's what I need for my kids, or you communicating directly to the kids and seeing what's going on with them, what do they need from you, what you need from them. And then, like I said, at home, you're making those communications, reaching out to parents, having parent meetings, having open houses, different things like that. So for me, that's the one thing that I can take from teaching and go directly to being an agent. All right, you're communicating with the player, you're communicating with mom and dad, you're communicating with the NFL side with their coaches and scouts and different things, and then also the people that the players may get in dealings with. Right, so you have marketing reps, you have financial advisors, you have realtors, you have trainers, you have all types of people in different arenas that is gonna come together for one player. Hey, so you have to, and you're the agent, you're that player's ears, you're that player's eyes when they're not there. You know, a lot of time a player may have a meeting with a marketing rep and they have practice. So guess who has to be there? The agent, right?
Got
The
it.
player may have, they may have an event scheduled somewhere, and they also have training that week or that month. Well, the agent's gonna be there, on their behalf. So I think communication would be the number one thing.
The number one thing. So, and also in your bio, it mentioned that you had several players that signed underdrafted free agent deals and
Right.
co-rap a client. So, what does that mean?
But undrafted means the player did not get drafted during that year. So,
Right.
like I say, each year the NFL is going to draft 256 new players. All right, so anyone that's not drafted, normally on a given year, you probably have about 600, 700 guys declaring for the draft. So about 2/3 of those players are going to go undrafted. So that's called an undrafted player.
Okay.
So at that time, as an agent, once your guy goes undrafted, you may be getting calls from teams trying to bring him on as a tryout player. Sign him as an undrafted player. So, for instance, like I said, about 3 years ago, I had a player that went undrafted, but immediately after the draft, probably 30 seconds once the draft ended, I had about 10 calls from different teams wanting to bring him in as a tryout player, as an undrafted free agent.
So all it seems so all is not lost if
all is not lost for sure.
If you have a client and they're undrafted, there's still opportunity for them to get picked up by a team, because it seems so they have like different opportunities, so those teams are able to see the skills. So you being an agent, you have to kind of provide those opportunities for him to be at those locations or set up with those meetings to get him at least seen. So that's a great deal. That's a great deal. So being an NFL agent, you're in your 5th year as an NFL agent.
5th year. Yeah.
5th year, and you're in your 6th year as a teacher.
Right. So I'm always a year ahead as a teacher.
Always right, absolutely, always a year ahead. Now, you also as a teacher, you are now, because you mentioned this to me before, you were head basketball coach at the high school. So how are you balancing all this out? Because we know each other personally, and you're either in Atlanta, DC, or you're all over the place. So how are you balancing this out, being an NFL agent, and you're very proactive, and you are a math teacher, but also not solely in a classroom, you are a mentor, a coach, and extracurricular activities for the students. So how are you managing this all?
It takes a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of traveling. There's a lot of sacrificing. There's some times where I have to miss out on some family stuff, events. Like I said, I have a younger brother now who's playing college football. So there's times where I'm not able to attend one of his games because I have to attend a potential client's game. But I try to make sure each of the last 2 years that he's been there, that I'm at least 3 games. So I tell him every year I'm going to make 3 games. And I may have my mind made up on one game and it changes, but I'll make it up on another game. So that's something that I've pretty much promised him. Because at the end of the day, that's family, So aside from business and everything else, I have to make sure, I support him through his journey as a college player. As far as, coaching, I've been coaching since I started teaching. So when I was teaching middle school, I was coaching middle school baseball. I coached middle school boys volleyball. So I was just, anything to help the kids to get them in a different environment. They can learn Coach Success and they can learn Mr. Success. Right. Sometimes there's 2 different people, right? Obviously, as a coach, you're a little bit more relaxed on the way to the games. You probably listen to your music, or you get one of their phones and hey man, let me see your playlist. What you listening to? Or after a big win, you in the locker room dancing with them or whatever. So they see that part of you. All right. So that helps a lot, because that formed that bond. Okay, Mr. Coach Success, listen to what I listen to. All right, cool. So now that kid's in my class, now we formed a bond outside of class. So now he's more likely to pay attention in class. Right. So for me, that's the important thing about coaching. Also, just give me it broadened my reach. Right. So I teach at the middle school, Pahokee Middle. Right. But I'm coaching high school now. So not only do I get to impact daily the lives of the middle school kids, but after school now, I get to tap into the high school boys that I don't see throughout school because we're two different campuses. We're under one school name, but it's two different buildings. So now, as Coach Succes, I'm able to, see those guys, 10th graders, 11th graders, seniors, and I'm able to pour into them. Like, hey, man, you already took your ACT, you took your SAT. Here's some SAT prep classes. Here's some ACT prep classes. How's the college search going? So those are some of the things that I have planned for my first year being the head varsity basketball coach. Now, I've been a freshman coach basketball high school before for 4 years, but having your own team and being the head coach is definitely
it's a different
ball game for sure. Now you're responsible for everyone.
So you're coach Succes and NFL agent as well. That the alignment in that is incredible. I'm not sure if you place that alignment for yourself, but not only are you recruiting potential NFL players, right? But you are being more proactive in the classroom, outside the classroom for potential players, or even anyone that you will have an impact being, a Black male teacher and a head coach. Because the extensiveness and that broad reach that you mentioned is being put in the younger, youth as well as the older youth, because they're most likely they're young as well, getting into the NFL in that age range. So your reach is massive. I'm not sure if it's incredibly massive. So I'm going to wrap this up. What would you say? What some closing words or advice to anyone that may be in pursuit of an NFL agent or a math teacher, or just pursuing their dreams at all? Because I would have never thought, a math teacher and an NFL agent was even possible until, we kind of re-link up and touch bases. So I just knew your story was incredible. So what's some closing words or something you'll tell someone who's interested?
Well, I mean, for me, it's always been just, don't let your circumstances define you, right? I mean, obviously, like I said, this is 8-year-old Higgins, leaving home country Haiti, moving to Belgrade, not knowing anyone, having to pick up a new language, making friends, everything, right? So I've always felt like, I never really allowed my circumstances to define me and determine who I am. So whatever it is that, you're going through, or it seems like, things are not going the way that you want it to go, you just have to keep a laser focus on the end game. Like even as an agent, there's been some brutal years. There's been years where I recruit players and players get hurt doing training. So automatically at that time, that investment that you made is probably not going to return much. But you just have to keep going. You just have to. There's times where you're going to lose thousands of dollars. You may think a player is going first round, they go fifth round. That's a difference of $20 million. So it just keep laser focused. Stay grinding. Just keep working. Absolutely. It sounds so cliche, right? Just keep working.
It's really true, because you mentioned discipline. Not only were you disciplined in school, being a collegiate, student athlete, but you attained an academic scholarship. I failed to mention you went to school with no student loan debt. Sustaining that discipline, investing your time, your energy, the resources, and becoming an NFL agent while being a teacher, but not only just sustaining in the classroom, but you're proactive out of the classroom. Like, I want to, it seemed like your purpose was to extend your reach.
Right,
for
most
your
definitely.
students, but as well as, you know, your career as an NFL agent. So it seems so like discipline is the theme of whatever you want to do, is to remain laser focused and to consistently do it, no matter how it, you know, you may fail or however the circumstances may be. You will eventually get there. Is being disciplined and consistent. And I love your story. Thank you so much, Higgins, Mr. Success.
Thank you for
You know, I
having
just
me.
call you Success.
Right,
Uh,
you just called me Success. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being on my channel. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you haven't done so, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe for more content. But in the meantime, in between time, be safe, be kind, peace.